Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate everybody sharing. I know that was a lot of work and I know you were hoping for something. So fingers crossed that this is big value to you. I know it's been a big value to me to go back through and think about this. So, in fact, I want to make sure that I really nail this. And so I do have a lot of notes. And so if you see me looking over here, uh, my eyes are just I can't get the camera far enough away, so my eyes are going to go over there, and so I don't want you guys to think that I'm not into this, I'm not paying attention, but I really want to make sure that I nail this for you. And I just didn't have enough time to memorize it all because this is again something that came up for me today. So anyhow, as I mentioned, I was kind of like thinking, man, what's going on here, right? I just was feeling a little bit like I was struggling to inspire people to join Fundamentals Live. And I started thinking about that. And I had this mentor pop up in the back of my head. And this tip that she said, here's my suggestion for you, Aaron. I suggest that the offer you make needs to be less complex. What you're telling me is too complex. And so I went back to my notes and I started digging through those notes. And I realized that boy, that's probably what's going on, right? I'm trying to do too much. I know the fundamentals of life is a big deal and there's a lot of stuff happening in it, but it's just not clear. Right. And so from there, though, as I started thinking about that for myself, I'm like, gosh, maybe that is why some other folks might be struggling. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but if this helps you, then that's a bonus, right? So at the core, an offer is this, when your ideal customer asks you what you do and you respond to them, you're basically explaining to them what your offer is, right? So some people might call that the elevator pitch, a call to action, whatever you call it. And the offer can be in different forms, right? The offer can be, yep, I'm having a conversation. The offer can be, it is my call to action at the end of a email. It is my call to action on a video. It's my TikTok video, right? So whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. It's an offer. So the uncommon mindset with this is we really need to be able to deliver that offer in a single sentence in less than 15 seconds, right? So that's what I want to talk about. When I first started thinking about that, when that mentor told me that, I was a little freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to share all this that I want everybody to know how awesome and big it is? For you guys, I want people to know how awesome I am, how awesome my business is. How can I do that in 15 seconds? Right. But here's the deal. If you can spark somebody's interest in 15 seconds in this attention stealing world that we're in, then you have a wonderful offer. Heck, like I said, this can be your tagline. This could be your introduction at a networking event. I know Michelle said she's heading to one here in about an hour, right? So this spark can be anything. It's your TikTok video. I mentioned that already. Whatever it is, but a simple, quick, and clear offer is going to make a world of difference for you. So immediately, my problem-solving brain, the red flags were going off, telling me that the offer for Fundamentals Live is just not clear and concise, right? But then I also realized that if I'm missing this, and honestly, I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I do because I get to sit and think about this stuff all day and work on it and practice, right? You guys don't necessarily have that luxury all the time. You've got the day job. I'm really fortunate that my wife allows me to do this, right? And she's got the day job. And so anyhow, I just kind of said, you know what? If I'm somebody that thinks about this all day and maybe I missed it, then wouldn't it be worth to spend, I don't know, if we can do this in 20, 30 minutes, great. I know we've already spent some time in here. So first thing, I want to share with you a tip that I've learned from my testing that I was not really using fully until now. So my hope is that you're going to take this and then refine your offer and honestly watch your sales increase. Yeah, right. This is not a magic bullet. This is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to share repeatedly. Right. But I want you to come back here at some point and share your new offer and then ask for feedback. Right. If that's not comfortable to do it in a public forum on Facebook like this, then reach out to me directly. Do whatever you need to do, but I want you to feel confident about your offer once you've gone through and done these things. And then secondly, the other thing that I wanted to do in this is utilize this opportunity to chat together and show you the offer for fundamentals live as an example, and hopefully get any feedback that we have. So I want you guys to be talking to me as much as I'm talking to you. And so, saying hello is awesome, but let me know what your offer is, and then we can kind of refine it from there. So, what do you think? Right? Is that sound like a pretty good plan? And then when I share this example, right? Like I said, I want that feedback, and I just want you guys to know that this is what, if you are worried about giving something to me, whether you are or not, right? I know that a lot of us are recovering people pleasers. Right. So if we're recovering people pleasers, can we agree that we're going to do this together? I'm going to ask for a little bit of your help for feedback, and then I want to give this to you. And then, like I said, I will give you feedback in return. Okay. So we've made the agreement. We're ready to dive into this. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I know we waited to get everybody in here. We are well past our mark. And so I appreciate everybody joining us. And so here's the first step. Right. The first step to provide a clear offer to your ideal customer. And this is going to be like a no brainer. But go with me here, because a lot of times we don't actually think about this. We have to know who our ideal customer is. Right. And you guys may have heard me say this before, but our ideal customer is not anyone with money in their wallet. Right. So I've got a question for you, and it's somewhat rhetorical, but if you catch it in the comments, that's totally fine too. Can we be clear in what we're offering if we're trying to talk to everyone? Right. I don't know what the number is on Facebook right now, but probably somewhere north of 3 billion, maybe closer to 4 billion monthly active users. Right. Do you think we can be clear when our intent is to talk to everyone? Right. And the quick answer for me, I'm going to jump the line here, is no. And here's why. We all have different needs, right? My needs are different from other people's needs. Therefore, thank you, Michelle. There we go. We got no. No. All right. So we all have different needs. But the good news is this, right? Here's the good news. If we all have different needs, that's like, oh my gosh, so then I'm only going to have one ideal customer. No, here's the good news, that there are enough people out there with similar needs that we will have plenty of business to sustain us once we get clear on our offer, right? If it doesn't feel true to you, you're just talking to the wrong people, right? I mentioned that in my live in Fall in Love with Your Business Facebook group yesterday, right? Either I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, which is probably 75 to 50, 75, 100% true, or I'm talking to the wrong people, right? So the great news is neither of those things is a problem. We just have to gain more clarity. So how do we understand who our ideal customer is? How do we define that? Look at this. Michelle is listening. We can't be everything to everyone, so we can't sell to everyone. Perfect. I love that, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so we've got to gain more clarity. And here's how we do it. We put ourselves in their shoes, right? We have to, whether you're an empathetic person or not, and honestly, you guys will find this. I don't know if maybe you won't, maybe it goes, yeah, that's pretty clear. Empathy is kind of low on my strength area there, right? Sometimes I get my blinders on and I just have my own little world, and I have to be intentional about coming back to that, right? So for this, I have to be very intentional about who they are. So who are they specifically, right? Not just who are they? Oh, it's, again, anybody with money in their wallet. It's sports teams, right? So let me use Fun Live as an example here. For the offer for Fun Live, the ideal customer is a woman, right? And men, I know there's plenty of men in here, and I'm a man, so I'm not talking down to you, but here's the reality: men are still struggling at times to be open-minded and empathetic enough to look inside. Right. And that's what we're going to do in Fundamentals Alive, is we're going to really look inside and build that foundation from inside. So that's one thing that is real about who the ideal customer is for Fundamentals Alive. Now, get to this. I expect that there will be plenty of men at this event. All right. So don't think that I'm limiting myself, but I want to be clear. The ideal customer is a woman, and the why behind that, right? The ideal customer is someone who has kids because they're trying to create more abundance for their family and are willing to kind of go through the trials and tribulations of being a business owner because there's a bigger picture for them. Again, same thing. I expect that there will be single people, people without kids that are at Fundamentals Live, but I'm trying to narrow down my ideal customer here. All right. The next thing about them, the next thing about the ideal customer is that they're in the Midwest. Right? This event is going to be held here in the St. Louis area, smack dab in the middle of the country. And there's there's something to be said about Midwestern values, right? Remember, I said we're all recovering people pleasers. Most of us are, right? And that's not just a Midwest thing. I get it, but there's a lot of us here in the Midwest. It's kind of been ingrained into us. Even though I grew up in Arizona, my family were Midwesterners, and that was kind of the way. The other part about it is the location of things. Now, once again, just like men, just like single people that don't have kids, I expect that there will be people that come from all over the place flying in, right? Maybe we'll have somebody from Canada. Maybe we'll have somebody from the East Coast, the West Coast. This is not limiting what I'm trying to do. So, again, here's that great news. Once we identify and clearly communicate with our ideal customer, we're going to be attracting people that have similar needs. So, right? All those things are going to be true. Men are going to show up, single people are going to show up. There's going to be plenty of people that have similar needs, but the message is clear to them, even though they don't specifically fit that demographic. Right. So the last part about that, right, is like if somebody signs up and like, well, you're not from the Midwest, you're not a woman, you're not you don't have a family. Do you think I'm going to turn them away? Heck no. No, no, no. And the same thing for you. Somebody doesn't fit your ideal customer category. If they come to you and it's good business for you, they have similar needs, say yes. Okay. So I just want to make sure that's really clear because a lot of times when we have this, oh my gosh, I have to identify down to a single person, it really gives us that scarcity moment where it's like, but I want to do business with everybody. Right. Okay. Um, so here we go. Darren, this is great. He's sharing. I provide custom apparel and promotional materials primarily for fire stations and departments, and provide them with a store customization to them. I love that. I love that. A few little things, and we can, if you don't mind, I will dig into some of those things as we get towards the end. So I'm going to put a star on that one and come back to it. I love that though. That's a great start, Darren. All right, it's closing time for me. Thanks for always for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome, City. Thank you so much for being here and making us get to that number that we needed. All right. So we got that part. Now, the next part here is once we understand as best we can, we don't have to be perfect, but as best we can, who our ideal customers are from that demographic standpoint, right? Then we need to understand what their pain points are and their aspirations, right? So when we talk about pain points, let me just go right back to the Fundamentals Live event here and give you that example, right? My ideal customer, their pain points are people who are overwhelmed. Maybe they're unsure of how to operate their business, and maybe they feel undervalued, right? And not just undervalued externally, but internally also, and therefore they're not charging what they're worth. Right? So those would be the main pain points of my ideal customer. They aspire to value themselves. They aspire to have a business that allows for freedom and flexibility, where they're masters of the business, right? Instead of the business running them, right? And when I boil that down, they aspire to be in love with their business. Like, wow, it's so simple, but why was it so hard to get to this kind of thing, right? So here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do real quick. If you got something to write with, write this down or come back. And so I'm going to edit out the front part of this. So it'll be about 10-minute mark or so, but write this down. Here are the actions you can take if you want to craft a winning offer and boost your sales. Number one, determine in specific detail the demographics of your ideal customer. Okay. Specific detail. Number two, determine their specific pain points. Specific pain points. Why would they come to you and give you their money for what you do? Right? That's the pain point. That is the pain point they have. Why do they buy from you? Jane says, I want to love my business again. Yes, you do. And we're going to get you there. You got this. All right. It- we need to talk anyhow, Jane. Yeah, we're all good. Okay, so that was number two. Determine their specific pain points. Number three, determine their aspirations. Right. Once they do business with you, what do they hope they feel afterwards? Right. That's what the aspirations are. That's what they aspire to feel a certain way after they've done business with you. Right. I know feelings, for us guys out there, no feelings, Aaron, don't talk about feelings. That's a joke, but not a very good one, as you guys know. The reality is that that's at the end of the day, your customers want to feel a certain way after they've done business with you, right? And so those aspirations, you're going to determine what those aspirations are. They're really a removal of the pain points, but your job is to define how you envision them feeling after they do business with you. So do, do that work for yourself. Invest that time to do that. Determine in specific detail the demographics, determine their specific pain points, and then number three, determine their aspirations. Right. So that's the first part of this process. The next part of this process to simplify and create this winning offer is it's time to simplify your service. Right. And I say service not because what I do is a service-based business. I actually say service to you folks out there that are making products, right? I'm actually specifically talking about you folks out there that are making products. I'm saying service because the products and services, right, is one thing, but knowing that people don't do business with you because of the product, it's because of the service, right? So, for example, my family, we buy groceries 99% of the time at a very specific store. And it's not because we can't find groceries elsewhere. It's not because whatever. It's because of their service. Now, that service could include things like how they feel how we feel in their store, right? How they treat us. It could be the appearance, right? So the grocery store that we shop from here locally is called Schnucks. I don't know who has Schnucks around them, but it's a pretty common here in the Missouri area. And there's a Schnucks up the street from us, and there's a Schnucks. They're both about equal distance from us. We go to one and not the other. Right? In fact, as family, we call the one that we don't go to Dirty Schnucks. I don't know. It's not dirty, but it just doesn't give us that feeling that we like at our Schnucks. So it also could be the service could be the location. Is it convenient? Right. So what you need to do next is we really need to simplify what your service is. So from here, you want to describe your service to them in an understandable way. And the best way to do that is through being very specific and direct. Right. I know we want to have fancy words and make people feel important and be inclusive and but when it comes to your offer, it has to be clear. And therefore it must be very specific. So, what makes your service unique specifically? That's the question you need to be answering. All right. So, for Fundamentals Live, again, going back to that example, the specifics of our service is that we are sharing an easy to follow business structure with hands on exercises in a safe space to grow personally and professionally. Right. So, I I think that's pretty darn specific. We're going to specifically share an easy to follow business structure. Easy to follow business structure. That's this. We're going to share that, right? And then we're going to do these other things that come along with it, right? So here's the other part of it, right? That makes us even more specific is our belief is there's no quick fixes. Instead of quick fixes, we believe in support for maximizing your fulfillment in your business, right? So to simplify that, right? Okay, so that's fairly, I feel like that's fairly specific, but I want to simplify that even a little bit more. We provide the structure for you to fall deeper in love with business. Simplified, right? And then you're going to connect and align with people like Jane here that say, I want to love my business again, right? And she may put her hand up. I'm not calling out Jane here. I'm just saying in general, right? That's what it might look like for you. And that's the great part about this whole thing here. So, all right. I told you to write down those first three steps. Here's step number 4. And there's only 4 steps to this particular thing that we're talking about today. So number 4, describe your service. How specifically do you relieve the pain point for your ideal customer? Okay. So that's number 4. All right. Now, let's just jump ahead. We're going to assume that you have done that work, right? Because we need to get to that next step. Okay, so you've done that work as best you can. It does not need to be perfect. Let go of that need for perfection. Yes, Aaron, I'm looking in the mirror saying, let go of that need for perfection, Aaron. Okay, cool. So we're all clear on that. We can all agree on that. So with those details, at a point where you feel that clarity and confidence as best you can, we need to convert that information into something that is called the hero's journey a lot of times. So this concept, in at least in my world where I've heard it the most, is taught by a gentleman named Donald Miller, and he's got a book called Building a Story Brand. Um, and his book is great. There's a lot of detail in it, but if we're talking about simplicity and being specific, I want to do the same thing with this. So I've kind of borrowed from him, and I broke it down into these four sections. Number one is the character, right? So we're gonna take all four of these things. So you can write this down too. But number one, you want the character. That character, this is your ideal customer, and a really concise, specific description of them. Number two is the problem, right? What is the pain point that your ideal customer has? Again, very specific and concise. Number three is the plan, the service you offer to relieve the ideal customer's pain point. That's the plan, right? And then number four is the success, that this is what your ideal customers are going to feel, or that's what they're going to achieve, and that's their aspiration, right? So if you go back to, we did the four, we just kind of did them in a little different order, and there's a reason for that, because we need to flip the script to tell the story. All right. So look at it the way that we had it, where we start with determining who the ideal customers are from a demographic standpoint. We determine their pain points. We determine their aspirations, and then we describe the service. Right now, we need to convert all of that into: one, who's the character? That's the ideal customer. Two, what's the problem that they have, the pain point? Three, what's the plan? Right. And four, the success, right? The success that your ideal customer has, that aspirations, right? All right. So those four things, we need all four of those things in that order. The final part of this is to take all that information and everything that you've gathered, bring it all together and put it into the hero's journey story. And here's the trick: you have to be able to deliver that story in 15 seconds. Right. I know I kind of promoted this as a single sentence, but that was more to show you how simple it can be, right? The simplicity of it. So I'm not personally a stickler for it having to be a single sentence. I know that once you get over a single sentence, you're going to get out of 15 seconds pretty quick. Trust me, I've tried. But the delivery in 15 seconds, and here's the other key point: your ideal customer understands it. That's the crucial part of this. Because if you can deliver it in 15 seconds and your ideal customer can understand it, you're going to know at least one of two things. You're going to have confidence and clarity in at least one of these two things, right? A, you will know if you're making an offer to the right person, right? Because if it's clear to them and they say no, then they're not the right person. And that's okay, right? It doesn't make them bad, doesn't make you bad. It's just they're not the right person. Okay. Or B, if they're not clear and it doesn't make sense to them, this is where you have to make sure your offer is as clear and concise as possible, right? So we have to get out there and then share this and share it. And the more we share it, the more we can understand how clear it is. But that's the hard part. We have to share it, right? We have to actually get out of our comfort zone. And like Michelle, we've got to go to the networking event and say, this is what I do. And when people look at you a little funny, go, okay, well, I need to work on that. Or if people go, oh, and ask you a lot of questions, oh, well, I need to get more clarity with that part, right? So we have to share it. We have to get it out there. I have this kind of running joke with my wife that we don't want to make our businesses super secret, right? We think that we're oversharing, but guess what? The algorithms take care of all that. You can't overshare on social media. Um, I've learned that many times over. You can't overshare. And secondly, if you're sharing something that you love to do, you're sharing of yourself, your gifts, you can't overshare that. The world needs that, right? So share as much as possible. We have to get our offer out there to anybody who's willing to listen and understand who the ideal customer is. Right. So let's finish this up. I want you guys to see how this might look for you. And again, I'm going to utilize my example of the fundamentals live converted down to a 15-second offer. So if anybody has a stopwatch handy, go ahead and set that for me. I've already tested it. So I think I'm good as long as I don't take too long here. And I'm not going to, no, I'm going to read it normally. Right. I haven't put it to memory because I just kind of revamped this today, but it will become memory by this weekend. All right. So here, if somebody asks me, let's just say I go out and I'm at a networking event and somebody asks me, well, what do you do at our success group? Here's what I'm going to say. And it will be some version of this over and over again. They say, okay, well, what do you do at our success group? And I'll say, well, stopwatch people, go ahead. Right. I'm going to be working with busy Midwesterners running. Okay, stop. Sorry. See, I told you I didn't memorize this yet. So we got to practice this, right? This is the other key point. You got to practice it. So if you started the stopwatch, reset it. I'm going to start over. Okay. So I'm going to be working with busy Midwesterners running creative businesses who want to break the cycle of overwhelm by investing in Fundamentals Live, an in-person retreat just outside of St. Louis, Missouri on June 7th and 8th that equips them with a structure to run a business they love on their terms. I think that was about 15 seconds. Was it clear? Was it concise? Right. This is where I need your feedback. I need your input. Right. And if you say no, I'm okay with that. Please do. Right. But here's the next step in that process, though. Okay. So while you guys are trying to understand if that's clear, once you say that, right, once you've put your offer out there, the important thing is to not be thinking about what you're going to say next, how you're going to make the big sale, how you're going to close. The next thing you need to do is just be quiet. I wrote down shut up, but I felt like that was a little too much. So let's just be quiet and then look for the questions, right? If you're standing face to face with somebody, look for the inquisitive look like, I don't really know, right? Okay, that's an indicator, that's feedback. Or they're going to start asking you specific questions. Right? If they ask you about what you shared and because they don't really understand it, that could definitely be a sign that there's more clarity that you need to get on things. And that's fine, right? They also could just be somebody that's questioning it. They also could be somebody that's not your ideal customer. So don't get discouraged if people are asking you questions that are telling you that maybe you got to get a little more clarity. Try a few more people, right? You're looking for the pattern here. One share is not going to do it. All right. So if you get questions like that, then you have some more information. But if you get questions that are like, what's next? Right. The real goal is to get these kinds of questions. Right? So if I shared all that, and then the next question I got is, oh, wow, how do I sign up? Or how do I learn more? Or how do I do business with you? Right. So for me, I would answer those questions by saying something like, if they asked, how do you sign up? I'd say, oh, well, you sign up by going to osg.link/fun live. Or you want to learn more? Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah, go to osg.link/fun live. Or we can schedule a time to talk. And you want to reach out to me directly, you can go to consultaaron.com. Or they want to do business with me. Okay. Well, if you want to invest in your growth, you can pay with 3 equal payments of $295 or one single payment of $795, and then just come and play full out in Missouri with us in June. Reserve your spot at osg.link/fun live. Okay. Right. So let me hit some of the comments here. Here we go. Michelle, so I'm looking at Fun Live as an opportunity to meet my mastermind group in person, as well as digging deeper into business education, help me and my business grow. Exactly. Yep. There you go. Right. But Michelle's got similar needs, right? With all of those things. So I might not be saying exactly what Michelle's doing, but she's interested because she's got similar needs, right? So that's what this is all about. So for you creatives out there that are making stuff, you might get questions like, you might get the same questions like, how do I learn more? How can I do business with you? Right. And you're going to say things like, well, if you go to my website, you can request a quote. send me the details and I'll get you a quote back right away. Go to my Etsy page and you can see all of the amazing things that I make. Visit my website for X, Y, and Z. Or you know what? When would be a good time for us to sit down and we can go over your design and come up with the perfect gift idea? So whatever your answers to those questions, that's where you're going to start boosting the business. But that's what you're going for. We're trying to get those like, okay, what's next questions. So here's kind of a little bit kind of not close. I've got a few more things to cover with you here, but we're almost done. So here's the deal. I know if you put in the work to take the actions I asked you to write down, you're going to have a winning offer, or at least be very close to it. If you'll take the actions, I am committed. I'm invested. Whatever you want to, whatever word you want to use there, that's me. I'm committed. I'm invested to help you finalize that. I don't care where you fall on the spectrum of things, OSG community, not OSG community, doesn't matter. Let go of all that stuff. I am committed to helping you. Now, if you sign up for the Fundamentals Live, you're going to get a whole lot more, but that doesn't mean anything to me, right? In this moment. But I know the clarity you will have after Fun Live is going to blow your mind, not just in this, but everything. So we're going to do these types of exercises. We're going to have these types of structures and actually do. So we talked about the four things that we had. We're going to actually do that together in Fundamentals Live. So if you guys don't mind, I know you guys have spent some time with me here. I am going to real quick run the advertisement because there is another free gift that we have for our very interested people. This is not meant to be a pitch, but I want you to see how all this kind of culminates for me. So if that's okay with you guys, I'm going to run this. It's just a little quick minute video here, and then we'll come back and I'm going to share some common pitfalls that I've seen or maybe have even fallen into myself, and that'll get us out of here. Okay. Thank you guys. Hey there, fellow small business owner. I'm sure you've heard the buzz about the upcoming Fundamentals Live event. It's not just an event or training, it's a game changer for entrepreneurs like you, hosted in O'Fallon, Missouri. Well, it's time to reignite that spark and love what you're doing again. I want to give a gift to the very interested people out there who are ready to sign up today. When you sign up before April 15th, you get an amazing no-charge gift. It's 6 virtual milestone meetings after the event. We're going to start on June 14th. Every Friday, there's going to be a bi-weekly meeting to keep your momentum going if you sign up before April 15th for the Fundamentals Live. Are you in? Are you ready for the gift? Head over to osg.link/funlive to get more information and sign up today. Let's make it happen. All right. So you've heard the buzz, you've heard the offer. Who's ready to invest? Right? That we've got to ask for the order. That's the last bit of this. We have to be willing to say, okay, you ready to sign up? Okay, what's keeping you from signing up? What's the objections to this? Right? So that's how this is going to look for you guys. And at the same time, I'm asking the same thing. What's getting in your way? So I know I've talked to some of you already. I get it. I'm not here to try to talk you out of anything. I'm not here to try to challenge your objections, right? I just want to make sure that, there's nothing that I can do to help you overcome those things if this is something that you're interested in and is valuable to you. All right. So let me start wrapping this up. And then I do want to come back to Darren's that he shared, if he's okay with that. So Darren, if you're still here, give me the thumbs up if I'm able to kind of go through and break yours down a little bit. Again, I think it's awesome. I just like to give you a couple little pointers, and I think it could be very valuable for everybody else that's tuned in. All right. So finally, let me share 3 pitfalls that are kind of common. I've fallen into them myself. Number 1 is generalities, right? When we lack clarity, we tend to revert to generalities. If you get the feeling you are not clear, look at where you could be more specific. So that's the number 1 pitfall. When in doubt, try to be more specific. Right? Ask, okay, but what does that mean? But what does that mean? Just keep asking until you get down to that specific. So that's number 1. Number 2, the second pitfall, thank you, Darren. The second pitfall is over complexity. Right? That we believe that everything has to be super complex to show the value. Like, oh my gosh, if it's not complex, I'm giving you 80,000 things. Right? And that's the way I feel with Fundamentals Live. Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be awesome. But the reality is, I'm making it too complex when I try to explain it that way. Right? The thing that you do in the back end of it can be completely complex. That's fine. That's your. But what I'm talking about is when we put stuff out there, we want to simplify it. Right? Here's the reason I know that this is true. That we need to stop overcomplicating things. Is what makes Amazon what Amazon is, right? What they did different than anybody else. I mean, if you even to this day, their website sucks if you think about it compared to other pretty websites. Right? And they break all the rules when it comes to e-commerce websites. A lot of times, they stripped out all the complexities of ordering online and made it simple. That's all they did, and they became the largest company on the planet through simplifying, right? They didn't make it complex. One step ordering, buy now. Yes. You want me to just automatically deliver it to you? Take out the fact that you even have to buy it and get a subscription? Yes, yes, yes. How can we make this more simple for you, my ideal customer? Right. So if you're struggling, you're most likely overthinking it. If you get stuck, go to the KISS method. And I know different people have different things, but I'm going to leave it here. Keep it simple, sweetie. All right. Keep KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. Simple, simple, simple. All right. Last thing, the last pitfall here is we're trying to please everybody. Right. A reminder from the very beginning, I said we're recovering people pleasers. So just because we're recovering doesn't mean we don't still want to please everyone and do business with everyone. But until you have that first customer that you wish you'd never taken their money, you might not realize that you don't want to do business with everyone, right? Anybody ever had that customer that they wish that, heck, you may have refunded their money? I've done that. There's been people where it's like, at this point, I'd rather just lose my butt on this. Here's your money back. Please go away. Right? I wish I wouldn't have taken your money. But so you, instead of trying to do business with everybody, we want to make sure that we go out of our way to please our ideal customer. And once we do that, more will follow. Right. So I actually have this taped above my computer in my workstation upstairs, and I pulled it down so I could bring it here, and I'll put it right there. So yeah, when you try to be all things to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one. Signed, me, as a reminder for myself. Right. So when we try to be all things to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one. So remember that as you're crafting your offer. All right. Final thing, and then we'll touch on Darren's thing here. If you thought this was good information, found it helpful, I do have a free webinar that I'm hosting next week. I actually have 3 time slots I'm hosting the webinar in, called Mastering Pricing for Profit. And I'm going to just put it on the screen here. But if you'll go to oursuccessgroup.com/pricing, you can sign up for it. We're not going to make you wait. We're going to dive right in and we're going to get into that information. I've got a whole slide deck, and I think you're really going to love that. Some of you guys that have been around the OSG community or seen me out at trade shows have seen this, but I think you're going to still find a ton of value in it. It's absolutely no charge, so don't worry about that. Yes, we will talk about fundamentals live. So that's the quote unquote charge for it, to just be clear for everybody. But I've got one on Tuesday evening, 7:30 Central Time. I've got one on Thursday, kind of mid morning, 10 o'clock. And then that Saturday, the 13th at 1 o'clock Central Time. So all those times were Central Time. So wherever you fall on that, if you have a question, just let me know. And then if you liked having higher level discussions about your business, and you like talking about uncommon mindsets, and you just want a nice place on Facebook to talk about falling deeper in love with your business, then go to facebook.com/groups/fall in love OSG. Many of you guys are already in there, but check it out if you haven't already joined that group. And then last but not least, and I don't put anything up on the screen here, but you guys know how to get a hold of me. I really, really honestly want to help you do this, right? But I can't make you do it. You have to contact me. You have to reach out to me. And I love talking to anybody about their small businesses. Ask my wife, right? She's like, Aaron, are you done? Can we go? Yeah, I know you're talking, right? Okay. But so I tried to set up something as easy as possible. Maybe I will put that up there if I can find it. I probably can't find it super easy here, but there, yeah, I did. Okay. So you can go to consultaaron.com and you can reach me there. But honestly, direct message me, text me, 636-486-6194. right? Or email me. I, if you want to call me, please do. Don't be upset if I don't answer. I'm typically either on a Zoom call or things like that. So if you text me, if you direct message me, if you email me, I will get back to you as quickly as I can. But reach out to me any way that you can. And like Darren here, we can walk through this. And so Darren gave me the thumbs up. And again, I want to be really uber clear. This is really awesome stuff, Darren. So I'm not giving you feedback to say, oh, you didn't do it right. I'm giving you feedback so you can maybe improve it a little bit, just seeing a different perspective here. You could go, Aaron, I like it just the way it is. And I'd go, you are awesome, Darren. And he knows that. So I just want to be clear for everybody else. All right. So Darren said this: I provide custom apparel and promotional materials primarily for fire stations and departments and provide them with a store customized to them. Okay. Lots of awesome stuff in here. Couple things that I'd want to get rid of, right? Just to simplify this down. And maybe you can expand on a couple things to make it more clear, but custom apparel and promotional materials. I find anytime we use the word and, then we potentially stretch it out too much. Because when I hear the word and, immediately in my mind, I have to use the energy to pick one or the other. Right? Oh, do I want custom apparel or do I want promotional materials? So that's the first part. And then remove the word primarily, because again, this is not about you saying who you're going to do business with. This is about you identifying your ideal customer. And they go, man, I love your stuff, Darren. I'm not a fire department. You're not going to say no, but I provide whatever custom apparel for fire departments, or for, maybe get a slightly more general, so you're not locked into the fire thing. I know that's a challenge that you've gone through, and again, I get to know Darren personally, so I'm lucky to be able to do that, and I don't take that for granted. But maybe it's first responders, maybe it's, I don't know, service organizations, right? Whatever that specific thing is, and try to make that one, so that way you can get rid of the primarily, right? And then provide them. So again, watch the word and in there, with the store customized to them. So the other thing that I might want to add, right, if I can reduce that down, you still have plenty of room to make that 15 seconds, I believe. Add a little bit about how they're going to feel after doing business with you. Right. So if that makes sense, and Darren, you can reach out to me anytime, and we can go through that one-on-one. All right. And then my wife chimed in here. I'm working on breaking my generalities, as I always want to include everyone. It has been one of my biggest challenges, working on it every day to get more specific and clear. Here's, and Kylene knows this, but again, for you guys tuned in, none of these things are like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? Right? You're so bad. No, these are things that we have. And to be honest with you, Kylene's desire to include everyone is her superpower, right? Her number one strength is harmony. And so she has this way about her that people just like people want her to talk to them as they go to sleep, right? They just feel that much comfort and love. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing her with the world, because I know she does that for people, right? So it's not that it's a problem that she wants to include everyone. It's that, how do I be clear with who I am, and go from there. So, and Darren says it does help, and I hope it helps others. I hope so too, Darren. Okay. So there we go. Kylene, Darren, everybody, Michelle, Jane, Barb, Cindy, Lauren, Reed, David, Bo, did I say Barb? Michelle, Chuck, Becky, Tanya. I'm not going to get everybody. So if I missed you, I apologize. But I love every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for rallying the troops and getting some people in here so we could share this together. Love to know your feedback about Fundamentals Live, where you fall on that, right? I told a story the other day about the fact that when I found something that I knew I needed to invest in to grow myself and my business, I figured out how to make it work. Kylie and I did miss one day of our honeymoon, but we still figured out a compromise, a way to make it work. So I want that for you guys too. Don't just assume that you can't make it happen for whatever reason. Reach out to me. We'll talk about it. Maybe there's a solution, and we can go from there. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. I'm losing my voice here too, and I want to let you guys get back. I appreciate your time. I cannot wait to talk to you guys. Make sure you get signed up for that webinar, rsuccessgroup.com/pricing. And then I'll be sharing next week. And also make sure you get in the Facebook group there. I share live in there quite a bit more often too. So love having those conversations with you guys. I just missed a comment. All right. Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, Mo. I missed Mo. Hi, Mo. And you're very welcome, Chuck. Okay. And Jane, I am going to reach out. So look for that. All right. All right. Cool. Thanks. Thank you guys, everybody. Like I said, I'm losing my voice here a little bit, but it was well worth it. I had a blast. I appreciate you very much.